Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the 9 p.m. live English news edition. The top stories. The two ministers are on a tour in the Al Sabih region, namely Health, the Minister of Health and the Minister of Interior. For the international news, Biden's break with the Trump era. Hello, welcome again. Welcome to a newsroom for having the news in details. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, will take part in the two-day proceedings of the 34th Ordinary Summit of the African Union from February 6th to 7th, 2021. A virtual summit because of the global health context marked by the COVID-19 crisis. He will dedicate an essential part of his work to the evaluation of the responses that and the coordination of the structure to the African Union the country has made to the coronavirus pandemic. In this part of the summit, one of the issues for the leaders' meeting will be to define the general modalities of request and action for an optimal and rapid access of the vaccine anti-COVID for the population of Africa. Taking also into account the slogan Arts, Culture and Heritage, the levers for buildings to Africa, the Africa we want, attached to this summit, the work of this foundation will serve as a platform for the imagination of ideas conducive to the creation of economic wealth and employment for African societies based on a greater enhancement and integration of their cultural, intellectual and artistic heritage. This 34th ordinary Summit of the African Union will also serve as a forum for assessing the reforms undertaken in the functioning of the organization. This order of discussion will combine the results generated by the reform already adopted relating to the achievement of optimal financial independence of the organization. Under the aegis of its first magistrate, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, the Republic of Djibouti belongs to the pre-cycle of African nations that paid a budget contribution revised upwards in favor of the African Union. This is because of its deep commitment to the evolution of the organization into a continental body with local independence of spirit and vision and entirely at the service of the economic and social development of the peoples of Africa. It should be also noted that this summit is yet another highlight of its work in the renewal of the members of its commission. The Republic of Djibouti is seeking this year through the candidacy of Mrs. Hasna Barkhat Daoud, a lawyer by training and former minister, the post of vice chairperson of the Commission to the African Union. Now, the Ministry of Health, Mohamed Warsama, moved yesterday in the company of the Ministry of Interior, Mr. Mumin Ahmed Sheikh, in the region of Al Sabih, more precisely in the locality of Gestir, where they were welcomed by the prefect of the region, Musa Adan Mikane, and the head of the BIS, Body Colonel Abdul Wasi bin Mohammed, and the village chief Ali Gedi. It should be also noted that several senior officials of the Department of Health and officials of the region made the trip with the Ministry of Health to inquire about the smooth running of the medical caravan that is in this village Gestir on the borders of Asajog region. The two ministers received a warm and particularly festive welcome from the inhabitants of the border town of Gestir, who came from all the surrounding localities equipped with a school and several basic social structure. The village of Gestir also has a health post inaugurated in 2015 and recently renovated. As part of the policy of proximity care, the strategy of specialized medical caravan, which is conducted periodically, reinforces the regular activities of the mobile teams that crisscross the most remote localities of the region. To this end, the members of the government and the delegation accompanying them were able to visit the various stands of more than 11 specialties such as ophthalmology, stomatology, pediatrics, gynecology, nutrition, and general medicine. More than 100 people benefited from this medical caravan that allowed to treat and consult many women and children arriving from all the towns near Gestir. Within the framework of this visit, the ministerial delegation donated an important lot of food and mattresses to the great joy of this rural population. This donation of food and foodstuff preceded the meeting with the Akals, the wise men and women of this village of Kestir. During this meeting, the prefect of the region explained that the movement of the two members of the government is of the policy of proximity and solidarity advocated by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Mergele. The village chief Ali Gedi and the wise men who took part in this meeting expressed their gratitude and satisfaction to the Minister of Health and his delegation from his colleague from the Interior for this commendable charity initiative. The discussion between the members of the government and the wise men of the village and Akals focused on the pressing difficulties as well as the grievances expressed by the inhabitants. In noting that all the grievances, the two ministers in turn answered questions on the various social economic issues. The Minister of Health, Mr. Mohamed Warsama, thanked all the leaders of the region and the wise men and the Akal of the village for this exemplary welcome which was reserved for them. He also praised the effort made by health personnel in the conduct of this medical caravan to provide specialized care to the inhabitants of Kestir. For his part, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Mumin Ahmed Sheikh, thanked the people for the warm and fraternal welcome they received. The Minister has long recalled the security prerogative of this town, which is at the crossroads of three borders between our country, Somalia, and Ethiopia. The health minister, for his part, said that the strategy of the medical caravan will be deployed periodically to provide care and offer specialized care to the population of Kestir. Now, always in the continuity of the activity carried out as part of the festivities of its 20th anniversary, the president of the University of Djibouti, Dr. Jama Mohammed, received a delegation of various presidents and of the university in East Africa region for a courtesy visit. This delegation led by Adna Aden Ismail. Firstly, this delegation has visited the infrastructure of the new campus of the university, the library, and the new premises of the Faculty of Engineering, followed by a meeting with engineering students. During this meeting, the exchanges focused on the development of cooperation and partnership in the university field. This meeting is part of the framework of improving governance, academic in East African countries, and its contribution to improving the business environment. The delegation of various presidents and deans of universities in East Africa region for this part appreciated the warm welcome they received on their arrival at the University of Valbala. Also, as part of the festivity of the 20th anniversary of the University of Djibouti, they organized a seminar Thursday, February 4th at the University of the Faculty of Engineering. This conference brought together the various presidents of the university in Africa and as well as the president of the University of Puntland of Somalia, but also of the University of Jigjiga were present, including the deans of the University of Djibouti. The main goal of this seminar, which has the explicit objective of modernizing the functioning of universities in East Africa. They are supported by development partners and aim beyond external efficiency to the improvement of business environments through change in modes of university governance with a view to sustainability. Indeed, the president of the University of Djibouti and his honored guest discussed in turn the themes likely to highlight a growing number of reforms that have been undertaken in our country in an attempt to improve governance, academic in East African countries, and its contribution to improve the business environment. Now in Obok, after several months of leveling, compacting, and marking work, it was finally the turn to welcome the turf. The new synthetic field will be of high quality and should keep young Obok people from Obok away from the streets. The installation of this artificial turf pitch is very important for the region and will benefit everyone, especially schools and amateurs, explained a local official. One can be delighted with this ambition of the State Secretary for Youth and Sport and the Federation to project Djiboutian soccer to the top, all the more so since its development implies obvious economic prospects and includes an undeniable political dimension. Moving on to international news, Joe Biden gave his first foreign policy speech, a speech that marked a diplomatic shift from the Trump years. Joe Biden wants to return to a diplomacy based on alliance and values, I quote, to respond to China's growing ambition, Russia's determination, and the global challenges of climate and the COVID-19 pandemic. America is back. America is back. Diplomacy is back at the heart of foreign policy. As I said in my inaugural address, we will rebuild our alliance and re-engage with the world, not to meet the challenges of yesterday, but those of today and tomorrow, he said. Joe Biden announced the end of the United States support for operation in the Yemen war. This is a strategic shift from the Trump era. In contrast, Washington will continue its targeted operation against Al-Qaeda jihadists in the Arabian Peninsula, a war that has claimed more than 100,000 lives in the past 6 years. This war must end, and the underscore our resolve. We are ending all U.S. for offensive operation in the war in Yemen, including arms sales, he hammered. Another part of this speech, the end of the partial withdrawal of American troops from Germany. Donald Trump had announced in June that he wanted to greatly reduce American forces in Germany. The decision had caused turmoil within the American political class as well as in Europe. It is now the end chamber of the Oscars, and for the first time in history, the Golden Globes nominations were announced virtually following the COVID-19 pandemic. Netflix is once again crushing the competition. The awards are presented by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Six-time Golden Globe winner Sarah Jessica Parker and Golden Globe winner Taraji P. Henson announced the awards on Wednesday. Not surprisingly, Netflix leads the nomination for TV series, nearly 3 times more than its closest competitors, HBO, with 6 nominations for the 4th season of The Crown. For cinema films, it is the same nomination from Netflix with no less than 22 nominations. It is David Fincher in his Mank, played by Gary Oldman in Weightlessness, that comes first with 6 nominations. The Trial of Chicago 7 comes in behind with 5 nominations. The true story of a group of anti-Vietnamese demonstrators accused of conspiracy in 1968. And Nomadland, finally, which had won the Golden Lion in Venice and served Frances McDormand, is a serious contender for the award for the Best Actress. Netflix thus dominates the first of the big Hollywood competition without any possible dispute verdict for the Golden Globes on February 28th, while waiting for the Oscars ceremony on April 25th. This is it for this edition of 9 p.m. Thank you for watching us, and have a wonderful evening.